And the chair will now recognize the gentleman from Nevada, Mark Amodei, for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. Secretary. First of all, I want to thank you for your availability during this time since you've been confirmed and stuff like that. I know nothing's been going on that affects the Treasury Department in any way, and I appreciate having access to you via phone over an issue that wasn't important. So, thank you very much. I want to just ask you a couple of questions, kind of relative to our conversation. And that is, I know that the president has said quit producing the penny. A lot of reasons, you know, arguably you lose 2.5+ cents for every penny you produce in signerage, and you don't have to get up too early to do the math on that sort of thing. But I think in the timing of doing that, if we're going to eliminate the penny, which has to happen here, I would like to know who it is, who's kind of the point, the tip of the spear on your staff at Treasury. I already have the Mint information, but at Treasury, as far as those issues go, and I'll tell you why I want to know is, I think there are some issues regarding what it costs to produce a penny. I don't know if it's going to get you, I don't think it'll get you down to a cent, so it won't be that argument. But quite frankly, stacked up behind it is what it costs to produce a nickel and what it costs to produce a dime. I don't know about the quarter, but anyhow, to make sure that we are at least giving your department and the Bureau of the Mint the most tools necessary to, if you will, untie their hands when they're looking for who they buy their blanks from and stuff like that, that goes directly into what it costs to produce one. So my first question is, who's kind of in charge of that, since I know you've got other things to do, but ultimately, so that we can start that dialogue with where do we go from here, and if we're going to get rid of, and I know there's been legislation introduced in the Senate to get rid of the penny altogether except for collectors. So who's the point man or woman on your staff?
Congressman, it would be my recently confirmed deputy, Mike Falconer.
Okay.
And yeah, I would also say with the nickel and the dime, the nickel costs more than a nickel to produce, but we are looking at material changes in the materials that would reduce the cost to or below a nickel, and then I believe the dime is profitable.
And I guess that brings me to there is legislation you might want to warn your recently confirmed deputy. H.R. 1278, bipartisan, gives you guys the chance, without coming to us every time, to basically make changes in the metal of that sort of stuff so that you can keep ahead of those sorts of things. So if you would, unless it's sitting here, whatever, it's like, hey, we're going to be calling you up. The idea is to solve the problem, if it's solvable, and move on from there so you guys can do other things with your time.
Yes, sir. We've been reviewing that.
Good. Glad to hear that. So have you taken a look at the Senate bill that says no more pennies? And I guess other countries have rounded up to the nearest 5 cents. And my research says, well, it wasn't the end of the world. So
Well, sir, we are also encouraging rounding down.
okay, that's good. Great answer. You know what? I'm going to reward good performance. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly appreciate that, Mr. Amodei. I understand you have the hard stop at 11:30.